Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're watching Greenwave TV, alternative media television. Today I want to talk about the non-aggression principle, explain it from my viewpoint, my vantage point, and also explain how it relates to the libertarian movement and why it is a very important tenet of it. According to Wikipedia, the non-aggression principle, also called the non-aggression axiom, the zero aggression principle, or ZAP, Z-A-P, the anti-coercion principle, or the non-initiation of force, is a moral stance which asserts that aggression is inherently illegitimate. The non-aggression principle and property rights are closely linked, since what aggression is depends on what a person's rights are. Aggressions, for the purposes of the principle, is defined as the initiation or threatening of violence against a person or legitimately owned property of another. Specifically, any unsolicited actions of others that physically affect an individual's property or person, no matter if the result of those actions is damaging, beneficial, or neutral to the owner, are considered violent or aggressive when they are against the owner's free will and interfere with his right to self-determination or the principle of self-ownership. Why am I talking about this today? Well, the reason I'm talking about this today is because at a time of critical buildup and critical mass and also danger within the liberty and libertarian movement, it is important to be clear, to have clarity among our ranks and among ourselves within the movement, and also adhere to the fundamental principles of not just the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, to ensure the safety of our constituency. You know, you look at history and you look at social change, and in my opinion, the people that really affected social change in a sustainable way were people like Gandhi, who used as a principal tenet a non-aggressive approach of peaceful civil disobedience to affect the social change and the desired outcome. You also look at people like Martin Luther King Jr., for example, who didn't just start going guns blazing at the state. No, he did the exact opposite. He utilized the principles of non-aggression and peaceful civil disobedience to lead a very public outcry and protest that demonstrated clearly to the American people the brutality of the civil rights movement, and it clearly demonstrated the violence and the aggression that was being used by the state. And that is a clear point. And that is a clear fundamental principle of the non-aggression principle itself. You know, take a look at the Boston Massacre, for example, which led up 5 years later to the American Revolutionary War, our Declaration of Independence as a nation here in the United States. The first shot that was fired wasn't fired by a Bostonian. Although there was a lot of skirmishing going around on State Street and there was a couple rocks thrown that may or may not have hit an officer, it was a British soldier that fired the first shot that later created the fury of fire that killed several Bostonians. And again, many historians believe, rightfully so, was one of the principal reasons and also highly propagandized events to launch the American Revolutionary War. The reason I'm bringing this up today is because at this time of critical mass and in this important period of American history where tensions are running high and the divisiveness within the country is at an all-time high and the rhetoric and the vitriol is intensifying and the state has everything at their disposal to cripple and scapegoat a movement of integrity, the liberty and freedom movement itself, which stands for principles that are worth fighting for and worth dying for, principles that hold our Constitution and Bill of Rights dear, that are not extreme, that are not extremist viewpoints, but are principal viewpoints of the founding of this nation. The last thing that we want, the last thing that the people need, that honest, hardworking John and Janes in America today that want to protect their liberty and freedom need, is an event or a mistake that ultimately jeopardizes the entire movement itself and is readily and easily scapegoated by the mainstream media and the federal government to paint a picture that anybody that believes in the foundational principles of our country, the Constitution, liberty, considers themselves a patriot, waves a "Don't Tread on Me" flag or wears a t-shirt, or supports people like Ron Paul, the liberty movement, or libertarianism is somehow a terrorist. We'd only be simply falling into the hands of the rhetoric that they've already been pitching and giving the general public, that the person that the people should fear, according to the bureaucrats and according to these thieves, are the lone wolves, are the stay-at-home moms. This is so much bigger. This is so much larger and grandiose than just the gun issue or just gun control. This is about human beings redefining, but ultimately embracing and defining who we really are. This is what, in my opinion, libertarianism and the freedom movement is all about. It is not just country specific. This is a broad idea. This is a broad movement for social change and for sustainable change for all people and all things, which to me is a beautiful and unbelievable idea worth fighting for. People think that guns are, the weapons that we should be worried about, that guns are the most, aggressive tools that are used to affect policy and government and social change, etc., when that is simply not true. Ideas are the most powerful tool. Thinking, critical thought is the most powerful tool, is our most powerful weapon. And we've seen this time and time again throughout history when we look at those people that have actually created the most sustainable, positive movements that actually affected real change. And ultimately, we have to judge these people, and we have to judge the movement itself, not just historically, but the movement now, on what it has realistically accomplished long term. Not just the idea of what we want it to accomplish, but what it actually has done, what it actually has completed. And you look at people like Gandhi, you look at people like Martin Luther King, you look at people like Rosa Parks that did a peaceful sit-down, who refused to sit in the back of the bus. Those were the most effective tools in fighting tyranny. Those were the most effective approaches to creating sustainable change in a very peaceful, non-violent way. These people ultimately sacrificed themselves and martyred their own lives for a cause that they believed in worth dying for, but they sacrificed themselves for the cause. It had nothing to do with them, their own self-righteousness, their own ego, a publicity stunt, or anything like that. It was about the message and the cause that they were helping and willing to die for, to propel forward, to create a better world and to create a better movement, which is what I firmly believe libertarianism, the liberty movement, and the freedom movement is all about. It's about freedom. It is about individual liberty. It is about creating a better world for all people. Not just myself, not just the few of us here in America, but for the entire planet. The non-aggression principle and the basic tenets of libertarianism and what it means to be a freedom and liberty-loving citizen of the world are important fundamentals that we need to adhere to and that we must not lose focus on. We need that clarity of mind. And to not think that the state or the federal government in this tyrannical regime isn't highly calculated and strategizing on a continuous basis on how to best propagandize the American people and manipulate our actions and ultimately our behavior in order to fulfill whatever objective it is that they have that ultimately, in my opinion, is set out to destroy everything we've been talking about for the past 4 years, is to be a fool, is to be utterly ignorant of what's happening around us at this given point in this crux, in this crossroads in American history, where we have a serious, realistic opportunity and chance of affecting positive change for the better, sustainable change that has the potential and has every right to liberate all people and all things all around the planet, not just here in America. That's what we have. That's the real opportunity. That message, that idea, that hope. That's what we should be focused on. That is what we should be putting all of our energy into. And giving that message out as virally and as passionately as we can on a daily basis. And never lose hope of that. That, my friends, is something worth fighting for, is something worth dying for, is something worth sharing with your fellow man. I'm Christopher Green. You've been watching Green Wave TV, alternative media television. and I just deliver the Daily Wave, hard-hitting and in your face. If you think this message deserves to see more people, then please get it out all over the world through your social media platforms. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube feed, and get it out everywhere you can. Thank you.